code for the water level sensor for this new Arduino circuit that we just wired up. So we're going to start with defining our sensor pins. So int sensor equals A1, int low out. This is going to be our low LED. For our low level, I'm going to make it pin 5. When the water gets to high level, I want it to be high out. I'll be pin 10. I just chose all 3 values arbitrarily. For this A1, that's analog input. You can use A0 to A5 pins. I just chose A1 because I like the term. Int val, that's going to hold our analog read value that I'll explain later in the code. And we go to our setup code. So we define our pins, pin mode, sensor, input. So it's the input value from the sensor, pin mode, low underscore out. It's going to be an output value. So it's going to output to the LED when the water level is low, and we're going to do the same thing for the high out when the water level is high. Output. Then we do the baud rates. This will usually be that 9600 value, which usually won't change for most of your applications. Now we do the code that keeps running in the loop section. So I use value, and now it's going to be analog read sensor. So the reason we use analog read is because it takes that analog value from the sensor pin, which is going to be a range from 0 to 1000 on the Arduino, instead of just high or low using digital read. So instead of getting a high or low, you get a range of values. So you can do that. You usually want to do that when you have like a sensor that can check multiple levels, like this water sensor. You can go low, medium, or high. You can set different parameters, different threshold values, depending on how precise you want to be with your code and with your output values. If you really need to be specific, you can make it a 5-tier threshold like type code system that you have here to check different levels of the water. For this purpose, we're just going to do low and high. But I want you guys to get used to using analog read, so then you can use this later on when it comes up in other sensor values like temperature and things like that. If you want to measure temperature, if you want to measure humidity and other things like that other than water, that's when you want to use analog read. So here I'll do conditions for this. So I'll set a threshold of values less than 250, because this analog sensor goes up to 300. So digital writes. I want my high out to be low because it's not at a high level, and I want my low LED to be high. So that way, when it's less than 250, the low LED is on high. So the correct LED turns on. I'm going to create another case for else if, which is going to be for the high value. So it's greater than or equal to 250. I want this low LED to go low, the high LED to go high. So opposite of the first case. We use digital right here because it's just on or off for the LED. There, and then I'm going to add a delay of 1000, which is 1 second. It's a 1 second delay, 1000 millisecond delay here. And I did that so that you can see distinctly when the sensor goes from high to low because if I don't set it to 1000, the refresh rate will be way too fast and it'll keep flickering between high and low. So you won't clearly get to see when the sensor hits high and low for this circuit. So now we will compile the code. Let's see if there's any errors. None. As we finished wiring it up in the last video. So now, before I show you how it works in the next video, we'll just test out our code. So I'm just going to add this line here real quick, which is serial.print line, so we can test our code here to see the values. So when we compile it again, and we run it, and hit Control Shift M or Command Shift M on a Mac, you could see the values outputting to the Arduino. So I'm just going to hit that, compile, Command Shift M again, and I'm going to dip the water sensor in my little jar here. See, it goes 64, 145. As you go deeper in, the values get bigger. And once you pass 250, the LED value will change. And I'll show you in the next video. Thank you.